Go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Automating Edge Computing. In our presentation, we'll be talking about our experiences around the edge and how we believe that orchestration will transform this area towards a different way of doing business. Let's look at the edge. When we speak about the edge, we mean applications which are not running in a centralized data center, but far closer to the area where data is being produced. And what we've been seeing is that there are three reasons why you want to move compute away from a central location out towards the premises. The first is low latency. You will be having more and more data intense applications which require data to be crunched and processed at a location far closer to it for reasons of latency. You want to be able to respond quickly to a video analysis, or you want to be able to show information in augmented reality by being close to the functionality needed instead of having to wait seconds until you have the information updated. The second area which we've been seeing a lot of interest is in security privacy. There are more and more enterprises which don't want information to be shared across the internet or brought out to it. And so they want to have the data analysis being done as locally as possible. Similar goes for privacy as well. And the third area, and that's actually not to be underestimated, is bandwidth optimization. Sure, everybody can have a high performance fiber optic connection, but in many cases you will be having lower performance, and so you want to have the compute as close as possible on premises, ideally, to the environment. Could be things like a retail store in which you will be using augmented reality on a showroom, or it can just be functionality such as data crunching for analytics purposes, which you also want to have close by so that you're then able to use the bandwidth to its optimal use. All these edges are typically then connected over, on one hand, the backend network, connectivity network into the operator's environment, or you want to have close by network functionality such as Wi-Fi, so that you can collect the data and ingest it easily. It could be Wi-Fi, 4G, or 5G would be the typical environments. What's important and what we've been seeing here is that the access itself cannot be premediated. You'll be having situations where you want to use Wi-Fi or even LoRa equivalents, and then you'll be having a 4G LTE or a 5G moving along the line. And enterprises are looking for this kind of flexibility in deploying their functions. So what do we believe is going to be an interesting approach for enterprises? We're seeing more and more enterprises not wanting to invest themselves into this area, but they really want to make use of an as-a-service motion to collect information on their edges, to operate the edge or have it operated in an efficient way, and then to make it available over a self-service portal to the operators of the enterprise. As you can see in this diagram, you could very easily have different MEC locations, which are then being managed by the CSP, but then the configuration itself would then be through a self-service portal so that the functionality can then be made available to the enterprises. What we do believe is that this kind of a business case is very attractive for CSPs because the industry is showing a very high trust in telecommunication providers. Telcos are known for having a very good understanding of the edge. It's part of the DNA of a service provider to know what an edge is like and to be able to manage it. And hence, they're a natural counterpart for enterprises when working on edge-based applications. If we look into such an environment, into a local edge, you see in this diagram the two data scenarios. The data flow, the classic data flow, would be the one which you're seeing in purple, which originates in the mobile device, will then be running in over a far edge system into the cellular core, and then through the network into the corporate application. This round trip is fairly inefficient. With MEC, however, we now have the option of creating local breakouts, which means that the data can be pulled out when it enters the far edge, the environment, and then can be moved into the corporate application on this far edge device. The benefit is obvious that you reduce bandwidth, you reduce latency, and you also maintain your data within the security premises of your environment. Whereas in the purple case, you always run the risk of having either bandwidth issues, or you're having latency issues, or also privacy issues. The good thing about this approach, we're fairly independent of any kind of underlying technology. We can use it both with Wi-Fi, or you can use bump in the wire approach as you're seeing here. CUPS would be a possibility. And along the line, we'll be having 5G UPF providing this capability as well. So if you take all these elements together, we're wanting to have our own network with environments where you're deploying applications, and with having a central office which you have a backend connectivity. You might find a situation as drawn here. You'll be having our gas station as an example with Wi-Fi and 5G connectivity, and then a far edge system which is then running, for example, a MEC platform to do this bump in a wire, then applications from the supplier, from augmented reality as an example, or video analytics. And then you would be using an SD-WAN gateway, which would then provide you backend connectivity to your headquarters environment. These four components here are the software part of an edge. And with edge orchestration, we actually go in and manage these in a holistic way. So you'd be having an application taking care of the Wi-Fi integration, because when you're running the Wi-Fi network as a service, you need to manage SSID, you need to manage security, or even other components related to it. You need MEC, network as a service functionality, to orchestrate the bump in a wire function and others related to it. And you will be needing an SD-WAN control function so that you can manage and deploy this SD-WAN gateway that has to be deployed on the application environment. Where it becomes really interesting are on the apps themselves, because the apps will be coming from the enterprise, from your customer. And our idea behind it is that the customer, in a self-service motion, is able to provide his video analytics and his augmented reality functions to it, and service stitching them together with the network as a services to provide an end-to-end offering. Now, when I say provide their own, and that's a question which we're receiving quite often, the question all comes, well, why don't you provide, or why doesn't the CSP provide all the applications through his own catalog? One thing which we're seeing in this market is that it's almost impossible to create a subset of the video analytics or the augmented reality function, because every industry is using its own, to the point where it can be even a sub-region, a geo, which has and its own sector, which has its own preferred set of applications. And so as a telco, you have to be able to provide to the customer the ability for him to deploy his own preferred application environments around it, and then place them on the edge and stitch them with the network as a services together to provide an end-to-end experience. And for this, we believe an edge orchestration is absolutely essential. So what does HPE Edge Orchestrator provide? First of all, we believe you need to have a multi-tenant environment, which is available to multiple enterprises so that they can then deploy onto customer sites their applications they want to manage. This access has to come either through a self-service portal, or it could also be done through integrations with the lifecycle management of the various enterprises through an API. You will then need the ability for an enterprise to manage his sites, his customers, his edge devices as well, to know the health of these systems and to have a general understanding of the environment which is under control. You want to have access to multi-edge computing. So you want to be able to manage the MECs, and you want to be able to manage the integration of the MECs with the network services. You want to be able to couple the network services together, and you want to provide to the enterprises a full lifecycle management of the applications deployed there. When I speak of application lifecycle, this means deployment of apps into the catalog, assignment of applications to a site, and then the deployment onto the site, as well as necessary upgrades or changes to the applications along the line. Last but not least, we believe that it's key that the entire offering is made available to enterprises in a self-service motion. We've been listening to our customers in the enterprise, and they are very interested in not having to develop this capability themselves, but that they can go in and buy the access to the edge as a service. And we believe that that's a virtual capability which is virtually unique to the CSPs because they have a very strong access on the edge. At the end, the entire functionality has to be offered in a one-click type approach. It should be as easy as possible so that enterprises can go in and evolve their edges with a minimum effort. From a functionality perspective, what does it mean? It means you need to have an application catalog. And very often we get to be asked, what's the killer app? And as I was saying before, the killer app is that little plus sign which you see on the system, the ability to add applications to the catalog as easy as possible, and then be able to deploy them onto the various environments which you're having on the edges. You want to be able to track your edge devices. You want to have a dashboard which shows you, in an overview fashion what your applications are, and you want to have the capability of configuring your network as a services in an easy to do manner, either through the UI or then alternatively through the system behind it. And that's what it's all about. It's about making the edge simple because we believe the edge is in a very strong transformation, and this transformation will be only possible if the cost of going into this transformation remains low. Summarizing, we believe that the edge is a combination of edge applications, edge communications, and edge compute. We believe that it's key to get these three elements together if you want to be successful in transforming your enterprise from the classic appliance approach towards an as-a-service virtualized digital approach. You want to have it available to multiple enterprises in a flexible way. And with this approach, we give a CSP, a telco, really the ability to strengthen the identity towards its enterprise customers and to give a complete stronger approach into the evolution of a telco environment. They are going to become far stronger in a vertical segment, and the classic connectivity becomes enhanced by providing compute related to it. For the enterprises, we do see that with this approach, we'll be having much more seamless operations on the edge without all the overhead of having to understand what an edge means and operate and maintain it itself. So you're moving costs from infrastructure-related operations into a service-based operations mode, and overall you become more attractive on the edge compute side. With that, I'd like to thank you for paying attention to the edge. I believe it's a really essential part. We'll be seeing much more evolution happening in this space, and we're looking forward to sharing our experiences in this area with you in future. Thank you.